would be by Mr. Varun Gupta, who is the Vice President, Head of Capability and Solutions at Sutherland Global Services. Giving a brief introduction for Mr. Varun, he is an industry veteran with over 22 plus years of experience in global IT/ITES industry and management and strategy consulting, working with Sutherland, Cognizant, Infosys, Boston Consulting Group, and Wipro. He is leading new offering strategy, capability build out, and solution design for the global insurance business, geared towards creating market differentiation, higher conversion, and mindshare as a transformative partner in the influencer, advisor, and analyst communities. With this, please welcome him with a huge round of applause.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, UBS Forum, for this opportunity. How many of us are in need of a short cup of coffee? Okay. I'll keep it brief and I'll keep it interactive, so anytime, any thoughts, please buzz in. What we'll talk about today is the entire aspect of artificial intelligence, the advancement in technologies, and how a BPO ecosystem can actually be at the forefront of driving AI for its customers. And I would like to drive that with some of the examples so that you realize it is already happening in the real life. What would we talk about? We'll touch upon AI. Is it really a mainstream thing? Is it still a hype? What kind of AI technologies are out there? What are the 4 waves? I believe I'll be preaching to the choir if I talk more about that, but we'll touch upon that. How does AI impact our business? At what levels? And how do we leverage that? My view of what should be an idealistic approach for AI adoption in BPO context, and then some case studies. Okay. Can somebody tell me how old the AI technology is? Ballpark guesses. Perfect. 1950s. Mr. Alan Turing came up with the Turing test in 1950s. There were AI systems to be tested during those times. What took it so long? We're 70 years away, but it is actually now that we are seeing the full might of the AI technology. Some of the data points that I would want to share with you, and this is what I've picked up from some of the research in the on the internet, but nonetheless, don't go by the absolute number, but the sentiment behind it. In the last 4 years alone, the number of companies that have adopted AI have grown by 270%. And it is not just in any particular industry. BFSI is at the forefront, retail, manufacturing. There are plants now where there are 0 employees. The entire operation is run by AI. And it is happening across the world, not just US, not just Europe, across the world. By 2028, AI would be a $640 billion industry. It will be larger than the top 20 countries in the world in terms of GDP. That's the size of what the kind of impact that we can create. And the impact that AI would create in terms of GDP addition would be in the nature of around $15 trillion in this decade. We talk about what AI can do from a customer perspective. We sometimes forget what AI can do for our own employees. 61% of employees actually believe that they are more productive when they utilize AI in their day-to-day life, right? And flip the equation, main concern for AI to be successful or not successful is, does it have the right sort of data? And that data is residing with your consumers. 62% of the consumers are now comfortable sharing that data with you to be utilized in the AI. Okay? Just another stat, by 2023, there will be more voice-assisted bots than number of human beings in this world, right? And last but not the least, it is not just about eroding jobs, which is the major misconception when it comes to AI. AI will actually add nearly 100 million jobs in the next 3 years. By 2025, there will be 100 million jobs that will just exist because companies are utilizing AI. Okay? As we dwell deeper, we'll talk about some of these things. One call out I will do, we are not going to debate on the ethicality of AI. Whether AI should do what it could do is something that we'll take later. I think we can debate a lot on that till cows come home. So we'll just talk about what AI could do for you, and we'll see how that pans out. So Mr. 𝗀𝗏𝗄𝗆 came up with these 4 waves of AI in one of the talks that he had given. And we have seen this over a period of time. 1998, the internet AI thing came in. It doesn't mean that it came and it stopped. Each one of these waves is actually in full blow right now. Things are improving on a day-to-day basis. Internet AI is very simply put, you and I leave a digital footprint on the web. How companies utilize that to give you a better recommendation back, whether it is YouTube, whether it is Instagram, whether it is Google, all of that happens as part of the internet AI. Take it one step up, you're talking about business AI, which is where it is not a direct correlation. When I click on something, I gave an explicit output saying, I like this. In case of business AI, that signal is very weak. You're talking about making sense out of a little bit of a chaos, but it works. Some of the examples of business AI talk about a microfinance company. A microfinance company might actually get millions of requests for loan. How do you actually analyze all that? There's nobody who can do that manually. You need to rely on AI to actually make sense out of that. You go by the credit history. Come to India, unregulated market, hardly a credit history is available. You look for next and next approximations. We're talking about healthcare, utilizing AI to give a diagnosis, to give a propensity to live further. Right? These are the kind of examples that are coming up when we talk about business AI. Perception AI, which has just happened at the turn of the last decade, this is where you are relying on the AI to do all the perception for you. It will see on your behalf, it will hear on your behalf, it will talk on your behalf. Take an example of Amazon Go. You go into a supermarket or you go into an Amazon Go stop, and the computers, the systems know what is your preference. They talk back to you about your preference. There is a face-based authentication. You take your product, you walk out of that without any credit card being swiped. That's where we're talking about the perception AI. And all of these 3 layers come together to drive the autonomous AI, which is where you're talking about the autonomous cars, whether it is Tesla, whether it is Waymo. You are building AI to a level where it is self-sufficient, where it is reliant on its own and can function, right? This is just a quick snapshot of what kind of AI technologies are out in the market. How do you deploy that in your context, right? And we'll take this pyramid bottom up. The 1,000-mile journey starts at home. Organization can look internally and utilize the AI for demand forecasting, resource planning, optimization of their internal processes, right? That's the easiest part. You look at your P&L statement, you look at your last quarter's numbers, you figure out what you're going to do next year, next decade, and so on and so forth. You look at applying AI in the context of employee productivity. In a B2B sales, take any BFSI example, any sales guy in a B2B environment does 40% of its job just updating the CRM, keeping all the leads live, maintaining them. It's a task that is not meant for the guy who is supposed to be talking to your customers, right? You can look at AI to automate that. You can also take it one step further, that remaining 60% of the time that guy is talking to the customers, which customer should he be talking to, right? What are your hot segments? What are the propensity of buying each of those segments? You can make your employees more and more effective as you deploy AI. And obviously, this is a bit where the ethical dilemma part comes in. The companies can monitor what's happening in the ecosystem and give some sort of indicators back on employee morale, right? Some of these things are, and this is still, I am within the boundary of a company. The actual might of AI, you realize when you take it out to your customer, right? Another spot quiz for you. Out of all the contact center engagements, every call, every chat, every interaction you are doing with your customers, how much percentage of it gets analyzed right now? Any guesses? Less than 3%. Less than 3% of the interactions globally are analyzed in terms of whether they were good conversation, they were bad conversation, they were successful, they were unsuccessful. AI can take that number, I mean, theoretically to 100%, but in real life, there are examples where you've done 80, 85, 90% of the interactions being analyzed. What it allows you to do is actually be with your customer through the entire journey, figure out how the conversations are going, and do a real-time sentiment analysis to make it a successful interaction. That leads to better personalization, better predictive services, and you can give back to a customer who then becomes a lifelong partner for you in your journey. Another quick stat, acquiring a customer is actually 5 to 6 times more costly than retaining a customer. And AI can go a long way in terms of driving customer retention. If you can apply it even from 3% to, let's say, 25% of your interactions, you will be much better off. This is a bit of a theoretical slide, so I'm going to skip over this very quickly. This is how you take the journey. I'm not going to talk about a lot of technology parts here, but it always pays to begin where you understand where you are right now. A diagnostic in terms of what is my maturity in terms of the data, how broken my data is, how integrated my data is, have I done any kind of analytics adoptions in the past. And this, I'm talking as a BPO person working with a customer, trying to understand what they're doing, right? Map out your data and information management strategy. How would you aggregate the data? How would you bring the data lakes into play? What's the roadmap for that? Start with some light reporting, insights generation, give some intelligence back to the customer, builds the trust for taking the next few steps. And the next few steps are not sequential in any shape or manner. You can start with predictive and prescriptive modeling. Given that I'm from insurance, some of my examples are always insurance-based. So here it's a very simple thing. If I'm talking about a claim from an insurer for a P&C insurer, what is the propensity that a fraud will happen? It's a very prescriptive modeling on any kind of claim intake that comes my way, right? I can take it one step further. I can look at every possible way in which my customer is interacting with me and build a big data analytics on customer 360. Which are the channels in which he is interacting with me? What are the products that person is buying from me? I can look at the holistic view, and then I can go back. Here is my 4 recommendations for you for the next interaction or for the next product, right? Take that one step further. Artificial intelligence starts getting applied with a little bit of a learning. This is where a lot of underwriting use cases come in my world in insurance. Whether I'm supposed to cover this risk or not is always based on what has been the history of that guy with me for the last 10 years, or what has been the history of similar customers with me in the last 10 years. That's what I will make my AI system learn over a period of time to give a better understanding on the risk I'm supposed to cover and whether I will underwrite that risk or not. And obviously with the advent of social media, web analytics, there is a lot of data that is out there that you're supposed to churn in terms of intent to buy, intent to interact, or intent to engage. Some of the examples that are from the real life, this is what I've been engaged with over the last, I would say, 8 to 10 years. We're working with one of the US entertainment giants, both on the brick and mortar side as well as the OTT side. They wanted to look at how AI can be applied on the marketing side, how they can do better campaign management, whether it is about ticketing sale, F&B sales on the B&M side, even the streaming services. You apply AI on that and figure out what kind of campaigns are most effective. We actually created more than 13 million increase in the active user base in a year, right? 11% increase in the concession sales and, sorry, did I jump? Yeah. And 24% increase in the repeat online concession sales. 9% increase on an average campaign revenue. The other example that I would want to talk about is, again, from a banking world. We were working with one of the top banks in the MENA region. This is where I was talking about the customer analytics, looking at a 360 view of the customer base. We did an analytics project with them on the CRM. They saw almost 100% uptick in the conversion rate when they were pitching for new products, right? Just another data point, for a credit card company, trying to sell a new credit card in US is an average cost of $500 to $600. If you can increase that by 100%, the cost goes to half, right? That's a direct impact on the bottom line and the top line of that customer. Another quick example, this time on the collection side. So credit card companies actually get into a lot of trouble on what kind of practices do they deploy on the collection side. You know, the regulators come into this quite quickly, but how can you utilize AI to be a better collection strategy, right? Whether you are talking about post-delinquency rates, we saw almost a 19% increase in collection rates by applying AI in terms of when exactly to chase on the payouts, right? And it also goes down to even the point of what time of the day you should be calling that customer for a better conversion. We almost had a 40% decrease in the dialer effort, right? And these are the guys who need to be extremely suave and empathetic when they're talking to the customer, and you need to realize that every minute of that conversation is direct dollar to your bottom line. A couple of more examples, this time from repeat sales and cross-sell perspective. One of the insurers, we talked about the cyber security a lot. So we were launching actually a cyber insurance product for one of our clients. And looking at their customer database, we could figure out that this is the customer segment that will be more prone or more open to this kind of a product. And that too, not necessarily an email campaign. We actually went with personalized videos, and the entire click-to-open ratio for that campaign was 2.5 times better than the email campaigns, which actually resulted in 40+% better sales compared to a pure email campaign. Last but not the least, for one of the major gaming consoles, we were talking about how exactly the entire personalization of data needs to happen for increased subscription. And we looked at the data across different channels in which the consumers were engaging, and almost drove a 6% improvement, 6 times improvement in the subscription rates. So this is some of the examples that I wanted to share with you, give you a sense that what is the breadth of technology that we are seeing in AI, what is the adoption across different sides, whether it is inward looking at an organization level, at an employee level, or with the customer, and some of the proof points that we have been able to see in the market. Hope it was useful for all of you. Thank you.